Wow, has it really been 4 years since the release of Twin Breakers: A Sacred Symbols Adventure? Now, I'm not quite sure if anyone was asking for a follow-up, but developer Lillymo Games doesn't seem to care, as the team has recently revealed Tribreaker: A Sacred Symbols Odyssey, and with it comes a host of updates to the brick-breaking formula that show how both the developer and Last Stand Media have grown as a team. There's nothing groundbreaking about the genre itself, but Tribreaker not only innovates on the brick-breaking formula, it also frustrated me into a hypnotic state, forcing me to learn the skills that I never thought I had, like guiding a phallic-looking ship being one of them. Tribreaker: A Sacred Symbols Odyssey begins many years after the events of Twinbreaker. Despite their success, Colin and Chris now live together in what appears to be a retirement mansion. However, NASA needs their help once again, and so they send Dustin to convince them to pilot Greetings and Salutations and save the world all over again. The narrative is pretty significant here, penned by Colin Moriarty and filled with political undertones, clever wording, and over-the-top explanations that justify the bizarre scenarios. The story also opens up the door to some character growth. Dustin becomes separated from the two leads, adding a nice layer to his characterization, even if he's stuck piloting a phallic spacecraft. I haven't listened to the Sacred Symbols podcast in a very long time, but I was impressed that the jokes and references don't actually require you to be a diehard fan of Last Stand Media. Instead, the writing makes you feel like you're in on the joke, and I left the experience wanting to at least catch up with the crew's antics. And for a brick-breaking game, it's remarkable how much emphasis is placed on the narrative. But it's definitely needed, especially since the story segments serve as a reprieve from the increasingly challenging gameplay. When you think of brick-breaking, you likely imagine a simple ball and paddle setup with a few obstacles to destroy. Twinbreaker pushed the formula to its limits, and Tribreaker takes it even further. Beyond controlling two paddles separated in the middle of the screen, you also control Dustin, who represents the ball. Using the shoulder buttons, you can guide Dustin towards targets, but it's actually not that easy. He bounces around unpredictably, forcing you to hone your reflexes and coordination. After level 10, you'll try a few Dustin-exclusive stages, and this is where the issues actually start to arise. The game offers very little guidance of its quirks. The developers seem to leave most of the learning to trial and error, introducing new mechanics without properly easing you in. It's as if they wanted a more compact experience, which I can understand since the speedrunning community will likely love this approach. Still, it results in sudden difficulty spikes that can feel like being tossed into the deep end without warning. The first boss alone is a skill check featuring multiple phases of the same pattern. By the time you master coordinating Dustin, the game suddenly changes its direction, placing you in stages where you just control his one ship. These segments feel more puzzle-like, and while you can collect points, it seems like the only real goal is to finish them in time. Oddly enough, when the timer ran out, it actually reset to 30 seconds for me, leaving me a little confused about its intended challenge. I didn't actually enjoy these parts at first, especially after spending so much time learning how to juggle Colin, Chris, and Dustin all at once. The roles suddenly shifted. Worse, the rules just aren't consistent. Sometimes you can touch walls, and other times it adopts a snake-like approach where you can't. But these sections don't even use the unique blocks that act as insta-kill, or others that alter Dustin's speed, which are interesting, but these aren't used in the stake stages. Why introduce them if you're not going to stick with them? Still, despite the frustrations and difficulty spikes, I had a lot of fun. Each stage is an endurance test of skill and clever ball control. Improved textures and stage designs also enhance the game's overall quality. One of the standout aspects is the soundtrack. Even if I failed repeatedly, I found myself bobbing my head to some truly catching tunes. It should also be mentioned that you do have unlimited continues, 3 lives per stage, and the option to buy more with points, so you'll eventually push through the entire game. It took me about 6 hours to finish, and while it was a tough ride, I never stopped enjoying the weird, frenetic journey that Tribreaker offers. Tribreaker: A Sacred Symbols Odyssey stands out as a uniquely challenging and innovative take on the brick-breaking genre. Its clever narrative, combined with its unpredictable mechanics, makes it a game that demands your full attention and rewards your persistence. While the difficulty spikes and inconsistent rules can be a little frustrating, the overall experience is undeniably satisfying. I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to do with the Tribreaker skills that I've developed while playing, but I can confidently say I've never played anything quite like it, and that alone makes it worth the journey. Noisy Pixel is giving Tribreaker: A Sacred Symbols Odyssey an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.